back here to look at our final installment on World War I, and we're going to look at the Treaty of Versailles. Notice on the picture of the cover of the treaty here between Germany, France, and Great Britain, not much mention of the United States or Russia there, and we'll look at that in a couple of minutes. Wilson, even when before the war was over, Wilson had this grandiose plan for peace, and it entailed 14 points. We're not going to get into the 14 points here, but Wilson's plan was for world harmony, world peace, goodwill towards men. Looking at it, he was somewhat naive, thinking it was going to happen. The Allies rejected it pretty much out of hand. Wilson not realized the political ramifications and the Allies' hatred of Germany. France and Great Britain wanted just to put the boot on Germany, and they wanted nothing to help that country at all. They just wanted really to grind them into the ground. Wilson conceded on all his points in return for the League of Nations. Wilson was probably a little bit ahead of his time here at the League of Nations. This was really took off. This idea really took off after World War II as the United Nations. But the League of Nations again would, stand in judgment, of disputes between countries. Provisions of the treaty. Only the Allied powers were at the peace conference. Typically at a peace treaty, both opposing sides were there, but Germany and Austria-Hungary were not. Russia was not included in this as they've been going through a revolution, the Bolshevik Revolution, and France and Great Britain did not like what they were seeing in Russia. At this time, Lenin was coming to power. You got the Red and the White armies, and if you're so interested in Hollywood, there's a great movie out about this time period. And I'm trying to think of the name of it right offhand. Oh, Dr. Zhivago. And it really dealt with the end of World War I there. 9 new nations were established, Czechoslovakia and Poland being a couple of them. I'm not going to hold you responsible for all the nations that were established here. The Ottoman Empire, Turkey, the Saudi Arabia area, were carved up between France and Great Britain. And Germany, a couple of the provisions of the treaty, Germany could have no standing army. They did not want Germany to be a military power on the continent again, and they were forced to pay $33 billion to the Allies. Well, there was no way that Germany could pay that kind of money after the devastation and the collapse of the economy and the political structure in Germany immediately following World War I. Here's a map, 1920. Gives you a little bit of the idea of the breakup, Czechoslovakia and there in Poland. Interesting to note, this whole idea of Poland was given a corridor to the Baltic Sea, cutting off East Prussia from Germany. This definitely did not set well with the Germans. Go back to World War II, where Germany invaded Poland. Part of that deal was because of Prussia. If you think of World War II, Germany annexed Austria at the time, and there was, this treaty really put Germany under the boot heel. Weaknesses of the treaty: Germany was forced to admit to sole responsibility. Well, there was enough blame to go around here with all the different countries. Germany could no way pay the reparations. With their economy and political structure, that just wasn't going to happen. They pretty much, you think of a third world country after World War I, that's just about what they were. Russia lost territory. Also, the Soviet Union was formed at this time. And again, we talked about the rise of the socialist and Lenin, and the beginning of the Soviet Union there. It also kind of interests ignore claims of democracy for colonized people. France and Great Britain actually got some more colonies out of this. One interesting one France got was Indonesia, including Vietnam. And the Indonesian people did not like this idea, and they were trying to get their independence, and all the way up through the Vietnam War. And we'll be taking a little bit closer look at that in the second semester. As far as the United States, opposition to the treaty, it was pretty much a non-starter. Many people thought the treaty was way too harsh in the United States. You had the ethnic groups, the German ethnic groups, the Russian ethnic groups, many of the Eastern Europeans did not like the treaty. And it just wasn't going to fly. Many people thought it was a sellout to imperialism again, where France and Great Britain got, more colonies. We did not want to belong to a League of Nations. Again, there was that whole nationalist idea, and the United States, again, protected with an ocean on each side, did not want to get involved in a lot of European struggles, if you will. Not too unexpectedly, Wilson wanted the treaty. The U.S. Senate did not, and they did not ratify the treaty. It wasn't until 1921, after Wilson was out of office, that the U.S. signed a separate treaty with Germany. The legacy of World War I, U.S. military was strengthened. U.S. economy was strengthened. Well, the war production. An interesting point that still gets debated to this day is the power of the central government increased. How much power should the central government had? Definitely accelerated the social change in the United States. We talked about the African Americans moving to the north for jobs and so forth, and the influx of women into the job market. A couple other things, get into the European continent. Germany wanted vengeance, and this whole idea of vengeance really fueled the rise of Adolf Hitler in Germany. There's quite a bit of militant fascist organizations in Italy, Spain, and again with Hitler. You had Franco in Spain, and you had Mussolini in Italy, and these were totalitarian governments, fascist organizations, and not too surprising, Germany and Italy would become allies in the next World War.